when you see a rainbow and at the end of the rainbow, there's an Irish leprechaun. Anyway, we have our own leprechaun, our own beautiful Irish leprechaun in front of me. His name is Ken Loftus. And I have to say Ken's a friend of mine, but he's also a person that gives back to our community. And I wanted to get Ken on live to talk about his centre, the Sunlight Centre, but also just to talk about COVID, coping strategies, I guess, ways of dealing with oneself. But the thing I love about Ken is, one, mate, you're just a bloody good bloke. However, you have an ability, and I was talking to Courtney about this, who sort of arranged this meeting. You are very, you are able to articulate mental health wording and issues and terms really, really well, and make it simple for people like myself to understand. So I'm so happy to have you on board, brother.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Wes. Thank you. Oh, look, my secret is I'm not a fan of the academic world personally, so I had to do 20 years of my career of just rereading these books over and over and over again, and so I could understand it. So when I do my workshops, I'm just telling everyone what I finally got, so that's the secret behind it.
Well, mate, let's what I'll do just quickly, like, mate, you're a person that gives back to the community, but you're a counsellor, correct? Or perhaps maybe like let you tell me what you are in this world.
Oh dear. Well, look, even though I've gone for the isolation haircut, usually I wear many hats, which I can now cover that haircut with. Do you know what? I'm a person that from a very young age, I think, just enjoyed being around others and supporting others, probably from my own family upbringing, friends, everything. And I slipped into the role of psychology and then counseling. I actually tried science first in college, and all of it wasn't for me, but I loved the biology. That's why a lot of my work is that practical, hey, guess what we do from a scientific point of view, bringing in facts so that our computer brain can process and deal with what's going on around us. And that is so important in the world we're living in now, not just the country, the world we're living in, because this pandemic is worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. And brother, we've been blessed to have you come to Australia. You live in Australia, and I can confirm that, well, one, we're 1.5 meters away from each other. Two, that you actually live in, you live in Brisbane, but your centre is in Cannon Hill. So I'm just going to give a quick little summary of the Sunlight Centre. So we're for MAF, or the Mental Awareness Foundation, has been lucky enough to help support the Sunlight Centre and reciprocated as well. Thank you for supporting us. But the Sunlight Centre, I'm just going to read this because it'll make it easier. It's a standalone charity. They have been recognised by the Australian Charities of Non-for-Profit Commission, which is awesome. It's also a deductible gift recipient eligible, so you can donate and have a tax receipt. But to keep your doors open and your lights on, you continue to provide free counselling to teenagers and adults who are suicidal. Right, so you actually make a focus on dealing with people that are in crisis situations.
100%, yeah, suicide and self-harm.
Self-harm. So, and not to take away, but you've wanted to make a focus of your centre of really sort of having or dealing with people that are at a situation where it's rather troubling. Is that probably the correct way?
Yeah, it's in their darkest time. There is not, and we've worked with people aged 9 to 79. We've worked with someone who is here on an asylum visa. We've worked with people with full-time, big, massive careers, and people that are out of work, because mental health affects all of us. Suicidal thoughts can enter anyone's mind. age, culture, gender, everything. So our doors are 100% open for anyone that can make it to us. We're a standalone independent charity, so that it sounds weird, but it means we can make our own rules. It means we can say, hey, I'm outside your jurisdiction or area, but can I come see you? Of course you can.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 17 today, but 18 next week. Doesn't matter. Come down and see us.
Yeah.
A client will never, ever pay for seeing a therapist through our center. We do workshops too. I'm trying to do more visual ones and video ones and talks like this to try to get messages across, because we've moved from face-to-face to video and telephone counseling. We've moved from group workshops to live social media feeds. We've had to adapt. And that's what I'm trying to really role model and portray to all my clients and anyone that will listen. Adaptation. We need to adapt to get through this.
And mate, that's why we sort of got on board to have a discussion about this, because COVID's here. We're all in this together, and I guess we need to change. Like I think the world's changed forever, but if we bring it into our community, we need to make changes as people and as individuals, and we just need to bring self-awareness towards this testing time. Mate, I guess just quickly, like how are you coping with COVID?
We're having a little chat earlier, and it really is like that. It's like I've shifted into a different culture again. In this culture I'm in now, I don't give high fives, handshakes, hugs to 1 degree off being, the core family. And like we talk about it, that's tough for many of us. It's tough for the huggers. It's tough for the tactile people. For me personally, look, I've got it lucky right now. I've got a home, small little family, fantastic connection that I can video chat friends and family in Ireland and in Australia. Still working, so I have a lot of luck here that I'm keeping going. What helps me is the acceptance of the terrible stuff that's going on. You know what I mean? The fact that this is a worldwide pandemic, that's not great. However, accepting it is helpful. It doesn't mean I like it, but if I try to, just ignore it or redirect all the time, it's not going to help me because it's real. What really helps me personally is I'm not a news person. I try to listen to only music in the radio. At home, I don't watch drama. I love my fiction. I'm a Marvel Universe fan, things like that, because my work is very real and drama filled, let's say, and serious. So that's my work.
Yep.
When I come home from my unwind, I stay away from that. That means now I stay away from the dramatized and catastrophized media that can be out there. There's a lot of media outlets that put facts out there, but there's some that don't. They put their own opinions, their own spins. They try to make it a bit more shock factor to lure in the viewers. And you know what? Our organic supercomputer brains will just suck all that in. So if I'm washing up the dishes in the kitchen and I've left the radio, if I've left the TV on, the news channel, even though I'm not consciously listening, it's going in my ear. So if I've got that on all the time, my brain is going to go, hold on, I'm in an alert phase here. There's a lot going on. Holy crap, am I in danger? Is my little tribe in danger? Now, if I think that's always happening, because it has been for several weeks, my what we call it, an emotional response level has raised. So I guess, will I talk a little bit more about that, Wes?
Yeah, I just wanted to actually just ask, you said the word accept. Is that a internal chit chat that you have with yourself? It's like, okay, cool. I just accept this. We're in an interesting time. When you say accept, just if you could just break that down a little bit, just how does that look for you? Like, is that a mind thing, or is that just you talking out loud? When you say accept,
it's definitely connected with our self-awareness. So as I said, if I'm washing dishes and let's say it's several weeks ago, and I'm hearing that this, COVID-19 is getting more serious. I might be a bit more on edge and thinking, what's going on here? And no, I'll be fine. Everything's okay. That's when I got to bring my self-awareness in and take a few deep breaths and say, hold on. How am I? Actually, do you know what? I'm worried about this. Okay, what is it? Let me check it. Let me check some facts about it. Let me ask, listen to the authorities and the experts. Okay,
Yeah.
I've listened. They said, look, there's going to be some changes. Oh, do I like that? No. Okay, but I'm going to accept it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to accept I don't like it. And I'm going to accept I'm a little maybe annoyed that I'm being asked to stay away from community groups. And that's a real emotion. I'm accepting that. If I'm like, no, everything's fine, and I put up that emotional wall, it just fills up behind it.
Yeah.
The overflowing cup, the boiling over pot. We know all the analogies because it's a real image that we have in our heads. If I don't accept and just sit with those emotions for a little bit, then you see, it's not just acceptance. Once I accept, then I go, now what do I do next? Do I bring in some extra meditation? Do I check how my job is? Do I do this A, B, and C? Then I see what I'm going to do about it. But if I just kind of blanket and put it behind a wall, it's going to build anyway.
Yeah.
So it's better to accept it. Yeah.
Well, that probably segues, mate, into the C words.
Yeah.
Change, control, and choices.
The family-friendly C words.
Yeah, of course. Mate, are you happy to elaborate on that? Because I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've been working on even for years. Some clients would come into me and say, look, I don't like change. And I say, well, it's kind of not liking that the sky is blue or water is wet, because it is anyway, and things will always change. Everything always changes. The reason we don't like change is we love being in a routine because it's safer. So when big things change, we get a little, I admitted about liking the Marvel universe. We get our spider sense tingling. And that's our instinct saying, is something wrong? Our brain's been evolving for millions of years. It knows what it's doing. And if it thinks something's wrong, we get those chills, we get anxiety, you get worried. Change is coming. Oh, is that dangerous? Is that wrong? So the more we accept and work with it, the more we can say, no, change can be good. Let's go with it. The other C word of control is 3 categories: things that are in my control, things that are not in my control, and things I'd love to be in my control. So that's probably one of the biggest columns. Things that are not in my control are pretty big too. The things that are in my control is a small little column, because the government making their decisions, the spread of a virus that right now we're just hoping to keep an eye on, which we're doing quite well in Queensland. There's so much right now around COVID that is out of my control. If I have been, look, I'll coin the very, generic mainstream phrase. If I'm a control freak, this is going to be freaking me out because there's a lot of things out of my control. If we're able to really, I'll use the A word again, accept that there's so many things out of my control. Would I like more things in my control? Sure. And that's okay to want it. But knowing and accepting that there's a lot of things right now, the changes is the C word, out of my control. Oh. Now, the big third C is that great next step. What do I do? What are my choices? What can I choose to do that's in my control? So when I notice changes I don't like and accept them, then we've got what's in my control that I can actually, do something about. Now, what choices will I make? We might have talked before, but a lot of my work is I try to stay away from judgmental terms such as right and wrong and good and bad, which sounds a bit weird for a counselor. But the reason I do that is they're very personal and subjective terms. So if I think what I'm choosing is bad or wrong or right, it can have a very strong internal issue in my own mental health. What I try to reframe that instead is, are they beneficial choices? Healthy, helpful? So am I choosing something that helps me and the ones I love? Is my choice is going to be healthy for me? And that's how I personally, and what I try to get onto my clients and any friend that will listen, that's what I try to portray to them.
Yeah.
Because we get real stuck in those judgmental things. Is it right, wrong, good, bad? Oh, what do you think? Oh, that's wrong. That's bad. Oh, I thought the opposite. Oh, that's the judgmental and subjective personal terms. Stick with the facts. What's changed? What have I got in my control? What do I choose now to do that's helpful and healthy and beneficial for me? Yeah.
Mate, and thank you. That is so true when it comes to what, is this a beneficial choice? I love it. And mate, this is also leads into information about, facts rather than opinions or beliefs. Do you elaborate on that?
100%. So, we have in our psyche what we call base core beliefs. So now some of them can be facts. So if I grew up believing that water is wet, it's also a fact. But if a newborn baby, it's my example I always use. So I always go, look, if you tell a newborn baby that they're stupid, if you tell them that every day for the first 5 years of their life, when they go to school, what are they going to believe? That they're stupid. Even though it's a belief, it is so in their head, it's pretty much a fact for them.
Yeah.
But it's not a fact.
Correct.
So a lot of my work over the last 20 years is dividing them into two different columns for my clients. Is what you're focusing on daily for your mental health a fact, or is it belief driven? If, a friend stops texting me and I keep believing it's because of my lovability, I'm going to feel really sad. Now, the fact could be, hold on, just because they left me or not talking to me right now may not mean something about me. It may just mean they lost their phone, they're going through something else is happening. We've grown apart as friends. So there might be some other facts there, but if I just focus on the belief, it can be very heavy. With what we're going through at the moment, like I said earlier, our brain's absorbing everything around us, all the news, all this. Social media, we're using it now I'll use a judgmental term, we're using it for good now. We're using it for benefit and health. But go to an average person's Instagram account and they're following hundreds and they're scroll. Now the brain does have a filter, but it still absorbs everything it sees. Picture. Look at all these perfect people. Look at all these perfect families. Look at all these, and they're scroll. Now also when they're scrolling, they can be absorbing opinions of people. They could be seeing the opinion of someone in a different country that's going through a very different reaction to COVID-19, that's going through a very different government decision too. But they're flashing up a few little thoughts, and that's going into our brain. And because our brain isn't distinguishing between an opinion or fact, the brain goes, does that apply to me? I'm in more danger. I'm freaking out more now. And my anxiety now has gone even higher. My hope has gone lower. That means my low mood is growing too. So the very important thing is to be able to raise our self-awareness, and I'll chat a bit more about that even, but this is all part of it. Is what I'm taking in fact-driven or opinion and belief-driven?
Yeah.
Dividing into those two categories daily over anything is really helpful and beneficial.
Well, it's having that, as you just touched on, that raising that self-awareness towards emotional responses.
Yeah.
And
so
thinking things and whatnot.
Yeah, we all have. Let's go back 6 months. We have a baseline of our emotional responses. If I'm cooking a fry and I drop an egg on the floor, my baseline emotional response would be, I'm a little ticked off. I lost an egg. It was the last egg. I wanted to fry it. It's gone now. So a little bit ticked off. Now, because my psyche, like the rest of the population, has entered a bit of an alert phase due to COVID-19, our emotional response baseline is higher. That means our moment of explosion is closer. So if this is 1 out of 10 and this is 10 out of 10, it's like my constant base is like a 4 out of 10. So that means when I drop the egg now, it might annoy me more, or I cry over it, or something, Now, self-awareness will help me there to go, do you know what? That is really bugging me. But you know what? There's a lot going on right now. A lot going on for me, the world, my family. Right, time to clean up this egg and get another one. So the self-awareness that we do, if we raise self-awareness daily, it means when big things enter our life, we're ready to deal with it. It's training, it's brain training. So it's not just wait until something big happens, then quick, where's my mental health toolbox? You got to get that out daily. You got to oil those mental health tools each day to keep them ready to work. All right. You don't go get your shears to do the hedge and they're all rusted. You got to keep maintaining your mental health tools and toolboxes and coping mechanisms each day. Little things such as, how am I this morning? Oh, I'm actually a little grumpy. Oh, well, that's an emotion. I'm a little grumpy. How do I feel physically? A bit tired. Oh, okay. Probably lack of sleep has made me a bit grumpy. Okay. So that's my emotions and my body. What am I thinking? I'm thinking, I wish I didn't drop that egg yesterday because I'd love a fried egg this morning. So really good to have those little check-ins that cover emotions, thinking, and our body. Because we don't want to miss what the body's telling us, because that's coming directly from the instinctual brain. So that can be really helpful. Do that daily, a few times a day. Then if something bigger happens in someone's life, like they lose a job, like we know international flights canceled, things like that, when big things happen, we're ready. Will we still feel sad and crap and grumpy? Yes, but we'll be able to manage it better.
Mate, I just love how you explain things, man. It's really, really beneficial. Thank you, brother.
Worries, Wes.
We're all sponges. We take a lot of information in, and it's hard to just sort of shut off the news, particularly when we're in that heightened state of anxiety. I guess how do we deal with, how do we deal with heightened and anxiety at the moment? Like, what are some coping mechanisms or some strategies that people can use to get through this, or to perhaps just turn down that anxiety slightly?
Like you said, we're a sponge, so watch what's around us. Yep. Think of one of the C's. What have we got in control? So do I leave the radio on the whole time with the news on? Well, I can control to turn that off. Do I go on social media news sites that are mostly opinions and not fact-based? I control that. So maybe I'll limit what my brain's exposed to, not try to overwhelm it and then pick it out later, because by then our natural sympathetic system has already kicked in. The alert phase, the fight or flight's kicked in. So the anxiety and worry is there already. For all the levels, there's very many different types of anxiety. So a few different ones are kicking off for a lot of clients at the moment. Anxiety is instinct driven with the fight or flight. There's physiological responses, like a rapid change in breathing and the heart and adrenaline rush, etc. The one big thing you can control there is the breathing. When people say about taking 3 deep breaths, it's because it sends signals to the brain to say we're okay. Remember, fight or flight means I need to breathe quicker to get more air in. I need my heartbeat to beat quicker to get that blood around the body. I need the adrenaline to activate the muscles because I need to run or fight, or I'm going to get eaten. That's it. Now, I can't just slow the heartbeat, or I can't pull back the adrenaline once it's released, because it's gone, it's released. But the breathing, that's what I can consciously control. And especially with the diaphragm, big belly breaths, 3 deep breaths, start sending that signal to the brain to say, I'm okay. Consciously think, what's triggered me here? Oh my gosh, I've had the news on for 10 hours straight. Okay, turn it off. Do you know what? Change really bugs me. Okay, I'm aware of that now. What will I do? Journaling helps. When we internalize our worries and we spin it around our brain, physiologically, actually, the parts of the brain that are working is our memory and our creation. That's why when we're lying in bed at 12 at night going, what if, what if, what if? And remember that time that happened. Because it's only working with memory and creation. When I spit it out, when I talk to a therapist, I listen to it. When I write it out in journal, I look at it. Then puzzle solving parts of the brain light up. And now we've got something to work with. Now the brain will say, hey, hold on, I got this. Many times when sometimes I have a big whiteboard with my clients and I write some stuff on the board. And when I spit out a lot of what they fed to me, when I write it all up on the board, they look at it and go, geez, what the hell is that? I don't recognize that. Like, that all came from your brain. But it came from their instinct, their base core beliefs, all this old stuff in their psyche. But once they see it, they start thinking of it differently. So journaling, excellent. Talking it out with a friend, excellent. A lifeline's still there. Kids helpline still there. We're still here for those darker thoughts. So get connected with someone with a professional background that can go, hey, let me feed back what I just heard from you and see what you think and work through it. So yeah, they're some of the top points, I think.
Mate, if someone is watching this and they are in a crisis situation, what is their and we're all different. We all have different thought patterns and stuff. But if someone is really struggling right now, what would you suggest to them? Now they might not be here in Brisbane; that they could be anywhere. But what would be some good tips or recommendations for them to do?
Because there's billions of us and there's billions of options, but the base comes down to us that we are all human.
Yep.
I think we all know that one of the, and I won't go too far off that point. You'll see the segue back to it is we're very tribal creatures. So we discovered a very long time ago that we're terrible animals. If a tooth breaks, doesn't grow back, our claws are terrible, we've no armor. So we knew if we hang together in tribes, we'll survive longer. Then the government comes along a few weeks ago and understandably says, no, don't go with your tribes. Stay at home, And there's that instinct spider sense again going, oh, well, something's wrong. That's not right. I need to be connected. It's what I've been doing since I was in school, connect. And so that's what we still can do online. We can do it with phone calls. In Queensland, we're very lucky. We can still go for a walk with a friend or two. We're not giving them super big bear hugs anymore. That's the acceptance again. So we go, look, I don't like it, but I'll take what I can get right now. I'll take the virtual connection. I'll take the e-connection. I'll take the house party chats. I'll take the Zoom meetings at 8 p.m. on a Friday with a beer with a mate. I'll take gaming online with Xbox. I'll take what I can get now to satisfy that connection with someone else. And if we feel we've got no one, there's people out there. There's Lifeline. There are group chats. There are chat lines, chat rooms. I'm talking about if we do literally think we've no one, there will be a way to connect with someone. There's great resources out there. Connect with your local council ward. Connect with the local. Say, hey guys, do you know of any local support groups that are also finding it difficult? Yes, actually, here's a number. So there will be numbers for people to connect. I talk about accepting. I talk about all that. You're going to feel, it's going to feel tough right now. I really think we get through this because humans are very resilient. We adapt with the change. We try to take in control what we can control. We choose those healthy choices and we get through it. We've got so much time on our hands now, a little bit more. When's the last time we did some painting? Picked up a musical instrument? You've got elastic bands and an old tissue box. You've got an instrument, old school stuff. You've got some crafts there too. YouTube will teach you anything. I just did a mural on my wall on my son's wall of Iron Man. It was incredibly easy. Just YouTube draw Iron Man. It's great. And I'm doing stuff I haven't done in years. Accept we don't like it, but choose to do something in your control for a healthy benefit for you. That's what I recommend.
I must say, obviously, 9 years ago, I lost two mates to self-harm 3 months apart. And, I'd never really been touched by suicide until this had happened, right? And the one thing that came out of it is one, which I wasn't aware at the time, but how much actual support there is out there.
Mm.
And the sad reality is that people, and hopefully, you know, over the years, people get more awareness, but I wasn't aware how many people are out there that are willing to help.
Mm.
And a lot of it is for free. And I think, you know, perhaps when we're in a clouded mind state, it's hard to think, or where do I reach out? However, just if you are watching this, just know that there are genuinely people out there that do care about you and do want to help, right? And they're willing to give up their time, or they're willing to use their skills to help you and whatnot. And mate, that's honestly how we've come across you. You know,
and if I can add, you know what? Anyone that chooses to help, it's their choice.
Yes.
I've heard so many years, oh, you have to. No, I don't. Yeah, it's your job. I choose my job.
Yeah.
You know, when I sit with someone, a lot of my clients, it's an interesting theme, and they'll sit there and say, I hope I'm not taking up someone else's time. I hope someone else maybe someone else needs this hour more than I do. And I say, well, everyone says that. And I mean, I wouldn't be seeing anybody. You know,
Yeah.
I am choosing to be here with you. I want to be. Anyone that chooses to put a number out there and say, hey guys, reach out, are doing it because they want to. Big thing as well I want to pass on to anyone listening is, if you think you might annoy someone, bug a friend, annoy them by texting them, reverse it. What if a friend wanted to reach out to you? Would they be bugging you? Would they be annoying you? If a friend said, oh, I had a really shit weekend, really, really low, but I didn't want to bother you, what would you think? Would you think, oh my gosh, they should have reached out? Swap those shoes around, you know? I mean, it's so funny. We have one set of rule for ourselves and one set of rule for everyone else on the planet. It's not fair. If you would not mind getting a text from a friend, vice versa, they're not going to mind either.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to bug them, but you wouldn't get bugged if they texted you, nah, I think it works the same. So it's a really good message, I think, to pass on.
Mate, there's a reason why we're having this conversation, and one, obviously, to make people aware about the Sunlight Centre, but I think it's just important to talk about statistics within Australia, because close to 9 Aussies a day is their life. It's the biggest killer for people under 18.
Biggest preventable killer, yeah.
Yeah. 1 in 5 Aussies, is that right?
For what? Which statistics that?
One in 5 Aussies will experience a mental health issue or mental illness.
And you know what? That's reported.
Yeah.
Do you know? And especially us men, when do we report stuff? You know, we think we got to hold it in. The masculinity issue out there is still real, Wes. That us men shouldn't talk. Do you know what? One of the things I kind of thought of a little while ago is, for some reason, I think our culture and our people, we mix up physical strength with emotional strength or something, you know, that, or if I cry, I'm a weak person. Well, hold on. How do those things connect? Do you know, if I'm having a cry, it's because I'm sad, and sadness is an emotion I'm going to get. It's real. But we use the word weak, which is the opposite of strong, but which is physical strength. So once again, it goes back to good old evolutionary psychology. Oh, if he's a weak person, he can't help our tribe, so we might suffer. So that's wrong. Men should be strong to help the tribe. Cool, no problem. I'll lift something heavy up. But if I want to have a cry, or I'm annoyed about something, or sad about something, we're mixing up that those two are related. They're not. If I can't lift something, okay, fair enough. I'll go to the gym when they're opened up again. But if I want to have a cry, that's fine. That doesn't show I'm weak. It shows I'm self-aware. It shows my body's working, my brain's working, and I'm human works. But so I think sometimes there's a bit of a mix up there, which is a real shame.
Yeah. And it comes back to It Ain't Weak to Speak, which is Living, who's a great organisation. And I just love their message. It's actually there's strength about coming forward and speaking up, or, putting up your hand and going, hey, I'm struggling, rather than trying to hold it in.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's interesting because I find when people are vulnerable enough to say, hey, I'm doing it tough, it's amazing how we connect, or people will then come forward and go, you know what, I'm either feeling the same or I've been there.
They're open to share then. Yeah. I mean, do you know what, this might seem like a random breakaway, but this guy did a study on groups that work really well, SAS teams. He even interviewed a diamond heist team in America who were really good at robbing places. And there was 3 or 4 major points that they all shared. And one was vulnerability.
Yeah.
Once as a team, they were able to show that they were human, which means they were vulnerable. The cohesion, they made them bond even better. Ironically, in a lot of mainstream stuff, we don't want to show that vulnerability. We don't want to be, because I think there's a bit of a myth we all might be preyed on or attacked if we're vulnerable. But for the teams that work, it works for them.
Mate, what complements vulnerability is gratitude, and being grateful to be able to have these conversations, being able to share situations or advice or tips and tricks. Mate, one of the important messages that we're at MAF, or what we're trying to do with our message this year, is basically encourage people to find their unwind. You've got a hashtag, find your unwind. And for example, my unwind is actually each morning meditating for 20 minutes. And then particularly sort of in the afternoon when I come home from work, I actually have kombucha in the fridge, but it's like a beer bottle, right? So I actually take my kombucha out of the fridge and just sit on my back deck and just literally just look at, I'm lucky enough to have a lovely view of trees and hear the birds. And mate, what's an unwind for you? Now, what's an unwind that you do personally, and perhaps, from a business sense as well?
Personally, I'll share, I have a little son and he's 2 now. And lately we just play Spider-Man together, and shoots webs everywhere and I shoot webs everywhere, and he falls over gently and I fall. And every time I fall over, because he's got me, he always comes over and says, help, and he helps me up, it's great. And another, someone asked me today, what's a big standout point in the last couple of days? I said, you know what? And it's something I mindfully have grabbed and captured, so I always will remember it. Usually we play a little bit of hide and seek with the little guy, but we always kind of hide with him and someone else. His mom tries to find us. But the other day was the first time he went, I'll be the counter. He didn't say that. He started counting, so we had to run and hide.
Yeah.
But he starts counting at 3. He goes 3, 4, 5, and then he starts to chase after us. And the funny thing was, I hid behind a door. His mom and him walked right by me, so I did a quick turn around and hid underneath the bed. And not even his mom could find me. He had to find me. So I was very proud of him. So there are my unwinds, having some lighthearted time with the little guy who's just unconditional positive guy. That's my unwind with him. Professionally, my career of 20 odd years is knowing to shut off from work.
Yeah.
20 past 6 on a Friday, I don't mind this. I don't go from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. all the time. I don't always have it turned on. But I've just learned, when I have an hour, I'll make sure it's not work related. When I have half an hour, I'll make sure it's not. When I take a whole day to do nothing from work, I don't do anything from work. And as I said earlier, I stay away from, drama films or TV shows, something like that sometimes, because I know that my brain might connect that with work. So I unwind by staying away from that a little. So my unwind is knowing to totally go from work Ken to non-work Kenny. So that's my unwind, to make sure to know to go for a walk with the little guy, turn off work phone, and just focus on what things I find fun and lighthearted.
Mate, two more questions, because yes, you're right. It is getting past 20 past 6 on the phone to let you get you home to your family.
I am home. This is where I work from home, mate.
Okay. I actually
just hung a bag on something to relate it to sunlight.
Okay, cool.
Put it downstairs off it.
I'm not feeling that bad then. I thought you were at the centre.
No. We've gone all so to keep it as sterile as possible now. No one's going in there for now, so it's ready to go when we're ready to go.
Well, mate, and that's where I was going to lead to. Where do we find you? Perhaps just, who are the people that you want to come forward? Of course, I'm sure you'll have a chat with most people at any stage, but let's just niche down to where you really want the Sunlight Centre to excel, and where do we find you?
So definitely through social media, it's really easy. If you go to Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and just write in Sunlight Centre as one word, you'll find us. The phone number, I'll write it onto one of the posts under here, 1300-259-724. It's on the sunlightcentre.com.au. We're Googleable as soon as you put us in Google. So, we have myself and a couple of other therapists that will work with phone calls, even video like this if you need for like Zoom chat, because it is good to get that face one-on-one kind of connection. So that's definitely how they find us. People that will ring us are people that are just inquiring about family, because they think maybe their teenager has talked about self-harm or suicidal thoughts. We can talk to them, just have a few chats to support them. Maybe get that teenager on board for some one-on-one therapy as well. They can connect with us themselves, directly. The thing about it too, we talked earlier about sometimes us men are a bit crap at sharing or connecting. You ring the Sunlight Centre, the therapist will ring you back. That's it. They're the therapist. That's you and them connected. No middleman involved. No refer you on. There's no referrals needed. No mental health plan needed. If you have had a thought like you don't think it's worth moving on, what's the point? That work for you. If you've had some self-harm in your past and you're worried about it coming on again, or it's going on again, ring us. Biggest thing I say to people that come to me with their self-harm, I'm not going to tell you to stop. I say this to teenagers. I say, it's mostly teenagers I work with self-harm. I say, I'm not going to tell you to stop. And they look at me funny because they're used to all the adults and teachers saying, oh, you should stop that. I said, what are you gonna do if I tell you to stop? I'm not gonna listen to you. Yeah. What do you want? I'd like to reduce a little. I'd like to slowly reduce to stop. I'd like to. Cool. We'll do that. And this is how you're gonna do it. With our help. So self-harm, it's massive. It is big. It has grown since social media as well, because if I'm a teenager and I've got a lot of emotional issues and I type into Google, how do I release this pain? There's websites that promote it, there's people saying, yeah, self-harm, go for it. So it's grown a lot. So it's not actually talked about too often, but it's big and it's real. And we work with teenagers and adults that go through self-harm behavior too.
Well, you and I are in the business of self-kindness, my friend. So that's what we promote. Brother, last question. If you could get a message out to many people on a billboard or in the sky or through this beautiful medium that we are, what would that message be?
Do you know what? Let's make it topical. I would say, we've got this.
Yeah.
Self-compassion, compassion for others. We'll get through it. Just like storms, hard to see through a storm, but it passes. When you're in the middle of the storm, it's gray skies everywhere. I'm from Ireland. I know what that's like, but we get through. So we buckle down, listen to the experts, listen to the facts. We'll get through it together.
Mate, I followed a rainbow into my office on the computer, and mate, you have seriously excelled. Thank you, mate. I really, this has been beneficial. I really have enjoyed this chat, and you know, we do know each other. It's just good to see you, mate, and
You too, buddy. You too.
always being yourself and being able to explain things in our language or our terms. And mate, we will be supporting the Sunlight Foundation with donations, which we have, and we will continue to do so because, brother, you are on the front line. You are a grassroots charity. You are not trying. You are making a difference for our community.
Thanks,
and
mate.
we are forever blessed, my friend.
Thank you. You too. You just keep up that work too, all right? And you hang on too, and everyone just keep pushing through together, right?
Now, mate, just to do a little bit of self-promotion, we will be having Walk for Awareness.
Yes.
Will be occurring. Will be on Sunday the 14th? No, the 11th. Oh, God, I should. Anyway, I'll look at it. Anyway, it's going to happen in October. It's going to be Mental Health Week. You know, how that walk looks, it will be either a virtual walk, or if we can have people in a park, we will conform to whatever that government number is. It could, you know, if it's 10, we'll have 10. If it's 50, we'll have 50. If it's 500, which we're hoping we'll have 500. However, we will be able to have people join via this medium. So we're going to do some cool stuff that way. And mate, I know that funds raised from that walk will come and support you as well. So
yeah, thanks, Wes. And we'll be there to help you any way we can too. Virtually.
Yeah, no, well, you had a stall there last year. So
yeah.
If you want to see this beautiful man in the flesh, he will be there. He'll be part of the team.
Well, look, we'll be honest. It was the therapy dog we brought last time that got all the attention. So he's better. We'll bring him next time as well. Pirate the therapy dog. He's on Instagram. Find him.
Awesome. We'll have to get what was it? What's the dog?
Pirate the therapy dog.
Pirate. We'll have to get Pirate onto the main stage, mate. I didn't know that. I knew you were there, but I didn't know Pirate was there. So, mate, we will have Pirate on stage, and we'll no doubt break the internet due to that. So
that's good. Let's do it.
Happy Friday. Thank you. I'll say goodbye to you, and
Mine
mate, appreciate your time. And if you're watching this, please like and share. Let's spread this out to as many people, and just know that we all care about you. And yeah, kindness wins.
We'll do it together.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Cheers.
We'll be right back.